All right, folks, Hunter Biden, we are now learning, it's confirmed that he is under investigation by the FBI. Finally, we learn about it. It's been going on since 2019. One of the offenses, suspicions of money laundering. Maybe some of his associates also under investigation, but since 2019. I want to bring in Bernie Kerik, former commissioner of the New York City Police Department. He's been working very closely with Rudy Giuliani on the hard drive. Commissioner, welcome back to Newsmax. How are you?
Thanks, Greg. I'm good.
Terrific. Now, first, before we talk about the FBI, a lot came off that hard drive. The New York Post, we know about the censorship. It was outrageous. The media, a lot of them are not picking this up. But is there anything else we can anticipate from the hard drive? What you've provided so far is pretty wild. The emails, very incriminating. Anything else coming down the pike?
No, I think the most of it is out at this point. I think there's three elements, Greg. The child endangerment is one. There's the criminal violations, which we talked about from the beginning, that being money laundering and fraud. And then the SEC violations, which, you know, we've had financial guys going through it. The SEC violations are overwhelming. So those are the three elements. It's pretty much all out at this point. The FBI has it. And I'm sure they're going to compare what we've given them, what they've collected from the vendor, to what they already had in 2019.
You know, it's really wild. If you listen closely to the Bidens, they're not denying it. They can't deny it, I believe, because they know it's theirs, right?
Right. That's exactly right. They can't deny it. There's nothing they can do.
But they can confuse the issue by saying it's Russian disinformation and getting a bunch of swamp guys to sign a letter. I want to bring in Joe diGenova, former United States Attorney for Washington, D.C. Joe, welcome back. First off, your reaction to the news that Hunter Biden is under investigation by the FBI.
Well, he should have been, and I'm delighted to hear that it is a fact that somebody acted on this information when the laptop was turned over in December of 2019. It's pretty clear to me, based on the available evidence, that Bernie and Rudy have been able to reveal from the laptop, plus the stuff that's coming from Peter Schweitzer on the other people, plus Tony Bobulinski, that what we have here is a major kickback scheme involving the vice president. While he was vice president, we had major conflicts of interest involving his son. So any money that goes out as a result of that is money laundering, coming in from foreign sources. Once he leaves office, the vice president is involved with his son, and here's how they do it. The vice president never receives any money directly from the other people. However, the money goes to Hunter, who dispenses it. And what happens is he is the bag man. He is the person through whom the money flows. It's then distributed to the big guy, Joe Biden. That is called using a nominee to do financial transactions. You are hiding the identity of the real person receiving it, and the nominee, Hunter Biden, gets the money for a third party. That's mail fraud, wire fraud. It also constitutes a criminal enterprise. And what you have is a RICO, as well as Bernie just said, major SEC violations.
So it all makes a lot of sense. Let me ask you this. Is the hard drive, did that change the game for the FBI? Look, they've got a lot of access to information on their own when they're investigating you. Is the investigation suddenly in high gear because of the hard drive? But this has been going on since 2019. So, Joe, first to you, do you think it made a big difference, or were they able to get what they needed through other means?
The hard drive made all the difference in the world. They do have other means, and Mr. Bobulinski provides direct evidence of the vice president's involvement, plus he establishes the scheme, how they used Hunter as a nominee to give money to the vice president or the former vice president in secret. That's the kicker. That's the scheme.
All right. To Commissioner Kerik, the FBI, though, they didn't just get it. I mean, it was turned over by that Mac shop owner back 7 months ago. You have the receipt. You produced the receipt. The FBI agent signed for it. So here's what I'm confused about. Like, what happened when they got it 7 months ago compared to, I guess, when they were reissued it more recently?
Well, really, Greg, it's almost 10 months ago. It is actually in 2019. December 9th, 2019 is when they got the actual computer. And they also got a hard drive that was down in Albuquerque, New Mexico, even before they got the computer. So at the end of the day, they actually took possession of this thing in 2019 and got to see probably what we saw on it. The one thing I want to bring up, Greg, and Joe would know, there's nobody better to talk to about this. I want to know how Joe Biden still has a national security clearance. How does he have a national security clearance? They've had this since 2019. There's overwhelming evidence of criminal conduct within the family, him included. His security clearance should have been pulled already.
Joe, what do you think?
Well, there's no doubt that if he were an ordinary civil servant, it would be pulled. It's not going to be pulled for political reasons by Gene Haskell or John Brennan prior to that, or maybe even the president right now because of the political implications. But the fact is, Bernie's absolutely right. This is just like every other case. If you're a Republican, you lose your security clearance if you're a civil servant. If you're a Democrat, you don't. Joe Biden happens to be running for president. So taking away his security clearance is almost an impossibility since he gets briefings from the CIA as one of the two presidential candidates. This is what happens when you don't properly investigate years ago when you should have, when you knew that the sitting vice president was involved in a major kickback scheme involving his son in Ukraine and China. So now you're left with this outrageous situation where you can't take away his security clearance.
And Joe, I'm serious, this is so impressive, really, your credentials saying this. You know the system cold better than possibly anybody can. Former federal prosecutor. I just want to be clear on this. And, you know, some of us were frustrated. We were pulling our hair out. Boy, where is Bill Barr? They had this computer for 7 months, a year, whatever. So when this Mac shop owner turned it in, the FBI did the right thing and started the investigation. So this is what triggered the investigation in 2019? Is that what you, that there's a guy, by the way, his name is Mac Isaac, I believe. Is that what happened, Bernie?
Well, we don't know when they actually started their investigation. They're saying 2019. Maybe something happened before they actually picked up that laptop, the MacBook Pro. But I can tell you, as Joe can confirm, we know for a fact they had it in their possession on December 9th of 2019.
Okay, you know, a lot of folks, though, they really bought that whole, this is unverified, this is unverified. I heard some pretty smart people, actually, you know, in my neighborhood saying, oh, that laptop's unverified, Russian disinformation. I mean, that party line, it really took hold, and it's very frustrating to me. Joe, what about the conduct of this investigation? It's a long time, 10 months. They've had the laptop a long time. You know, Hillary Clinton, it seemed like they treated her differently. They made all kinds of, they bent the rules for her. And then they had that weirdo press conference, you know, 6 months before the election that seemed to let her off the hook. Are you comfortable with how this seems to have been conducted from what we can tell?
I am, and I am for one reason. Bill Barr is the Attorney General, and he would not tolerate any messing around with the evidence or the case. He also wouldn't prematurely bring a case during a campaign. But one thing is certain, there is no way you get away from this case and not find a series of major crimes being committed by the Biden family.
And Joe, from what you know about Washington, D.C., and again, you know it cold, the Democrats must be worried about this. And let's say, I think Donald Trump is going to be reelected, but if Joe Biden should win, my sense is with all this stuff, they'll be looking to push him out. I mean, he's old, he's not liberal enough. They've got Kamala waiting there. Am I getting, you know, crazy, or could this be part of their thinking?
Well, I can tell you this. This investigation is not going to go away. The damage to him is going to be incalculable because the kickback scheme involving him, where his shares are secretly held by his son, will never be able to be accounted for. This will be a national disgrace and scandal that will have monumental implications for governance. If he's elected, which I don't believe he's going to be, he will not be able to govern.
Pretty wild. The media, they are doing everything they can to help him, though. It's absolutely mind-blowing. Bernie, you did such great work with Mayor Giuliani. And for, gosh, the New York Post to be shut down by Twitter and you know the rest, it's terrible. But thank you again for what you did. I think it was a great public service. Joe diGenova, thank you for being with us, and thank you for your service. To be continued, okay?
Thank you.
All the best. All the